How would you like to stop thinking so much about your ex and be free from the endless suffering when you're no longer with the person you love? In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips on how you can start letting go of your ex and getting past the breakup or divorce so that you can start experiencing more inner peace and emotional freedom. Hi, friends, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I post new videos about relationship advice, personal growth, and healing from heartbreak. Be sure to also follow me on Instagram, where I share weekly tips that you won't find here on YouTube. Now, on to the main topic of this video. Letting go of an ex and getting past your breakup or divorce is possible, and I'm excited to give you tips on how you too can break free from that energetic, mental, and emotional hold that an ex may have on you so that you can move on to experience more peace and joy in your next chapter. Tip number 1 is to be radically compassionate with yourself. When you go through a breakup or a divorce, you will be hurt. It's only natural. You've spent years with this person. You've built a life together. You've maybe even had kids together. There were hopes and dreams and everything that you planned for the future that are no longer. You were attached to one another. So it's okay to accept this emotional attachment. You don't know how attached you really are until you try to start separating and detaching from the other person. You'll feel heartbroken. You'll lose sleep. You may not be able to eat. You might even isolate yourself. You'll feel a sense of loss and maybe even ruminate about what happened and think obsessively about your ex and feel unable to process the pain. You're grieving the losses, the relationship, the connection, the hopes, and the dreams that won't materialize. And let's say it's even been a while after your breakup or divorce. Maybe it's even been years and you can't seem to stop thinking about your ex no matter how much you try to distract yourself. Know that there isn't anything wrong with you. Understand that it will take time. Now, time alone doesn't heal all wounds, you do. And I'm sure you can understand this if time has gone by, but you're still constantly bombarded with thoughts of your ex. If that's the case, then be patient with yourself. Give yourself that grace and compassion. You've suffered a major trauma, and it's unlikely that you'll be able to just quickly get over it. Even getting over a divorce is a misconception because it'll likely still affect you from time to time. But the goal is for it to not trigger you as much, to have less of an emotional trigger each time you think about him. That's how you know that you're healing. So the key is to have a love affair with yourself by focusing on soothing yourself as often as possible. Remind yourself that it's okay to feel. Everything you're feeling is natural, it's valid, and you're in the process of getting through this difficult time, and you're safe. You're safe to get through this. You will get through this. And I love the saying from emotional freedom tapping or technique that says, even though I'm feeling blank, I still deeply and unconditionally love myself anyway. Repeat that to yourself as often as possible. It's an amazing way to foster self-love and self-care and to soothe yourself through all the difficult emotions. And as Matthew Hussey says, emotions change. Remember that everything is temporary. Healing and letting go does take time, and you'll likely have to do it over and over again until that hold that they have on you lessens over time. Tip number 2 is to address one emotion at a time. When you're struggling to process your breakup or divorce and you still feel tied to him, you'll experience a lot of ambiguous and conflicting emotions. You can feel longing for him and yet you can be angry. You can feel sad but relieved that it's over. And if this is how you're feeling, it's important to tease out the emotions, to identify what hurts and why. Identify one emotion at a time and name it. I feel sad. I feel lonely. I feel betrayed. It helps to also pay attention to what messages and beliefs your subconscious is making these emotions mean. Does feeling lonely mean that you're unlovable? Does sadness mean that you'll never get back what you've lost? I mean, you get the idea. It's usually the narrative that we have in our heads and the limiting beliefs our mind and ego assume that makes it harder to let go and to move on. And also worrying about what other people will think. And if you have conflicting feelings, it's important to allow yourself to feel torn because holding on to the ambivalence can lead to a push pull dynamic, wanting to be close to him, but then it feels wrong and unsafe, so you pull back. This can make you feel crazy and also prolong the recovery process. The ambivalence reflects the attachment you still have for your ex, as well as that inner turmoil of having to make changes that maybe you don't necessarily want to make, or it feels scary to have to make those changes now on your own. The ambivalence can turn to nostalgia too. So remember, you can still feel tenderness for your ex. You can still love and miss him without needing to get back together. You can feel intensely without needing to act on them. And letting go of needing everything to be black or white or clearly defined is important. Another point about nostalgia is to not just remember the good times. Don't romanticize the past. Remind yourself of all the reasons why it didn't work out in the first place. Look at things objectively. If you don't address the ambivalence and work through one emotion at a time, you risk keeping the past alive. Tip number 3 is to understand your past conditioning and your attachments. Heartbreak stirs up deep problems that we've had and traumas that usually stem back to childhood. And even if we've had great childhoods, we all have an original wound that stems from times that we felt abandoned, neglected, or that our needs weren't consistently and lovingly met by our parents in childhood. Now, it doesn't have to be major traumas. Even subtle and less obvious traumas stay with us and they're stored in the body. They're also stored in our subconscious minds and our nervous system. And I don't say this to cast blame or shame on our parents. I mean, most parents are simply doing the best they can given their level of awareness and their ability. But even as kids, we internalize everything because we can't consciously rationalize or understand what is happening. But as adults, though, you have the mental capacity and capability to deeply reflect by asking yourself important questions that uncover the patterns or the familiar story. Knowing why you attached to your ex and what the patterns were, what your love blueprint is, will not only help you to understand yourself better, but it can also help you to break past these patterns and release the blueprint so that you can learn to have even better relationships. So share in the comments what your love blueprint is and what attachments you've had in your relationships that weren't working for you so that we can support one another through this. Tip number 4 is to view this as an opportunity for growth and healing. It's not uncommon for people who are dealing with breakups and divorces, especially unwanted ones, to play the victim and focusing all on what the other person did, how they hurt you, how they betrayed you, how they deceived you. But none of that helps you to grow. And again, I don't say this to cast blame or shame, not at all. Many people, especially victims of abuse, have gone through horrific experiences, and I'm in no way downplaying any of the traumas. What I'm suggesting in general, though, is that part of reclaiming your power back, claiming your autonomy, and rebuilding yourself is to acknowledge all the ways that you actively or inactively contributed to the relationship dynamics. You grow when you take responsibility for your part and how you showed up in the relationship and how you co created the breakdown of it. Were you quiet when you should have spoken up? Did you tolerate things that were intolerable? Did you say yes when you really meant to say no? Did you sacrifice your needs and desires to your own detriment so that you can try to keep the peace and avoid conflict? Did you hold expectations that were unrealistic and unachievable, or expect your partner to read your mind and were met with disappointment over and over again? Really reflect on the dynamics and how you felt small and disempowered so that you can heal that. Use this as an opportunity to grow and get in touch with your deeper needs. We all want to feel valuable, loved, cared for, that we're a priority, and that we matter. We want to be seen and heard. What do you deeply need at this time to thrive, even if you feel like you don't deserve it? It has nothing to do with the other person. This is your own personal need. Another point I want to add to the section about growth is to take care of yourself. Eat nutritious foods, catch up on sleep, get exercise. All of this will help you to feel better and to nourish your mind, body, and spirit. When you raise your vibration and your mood, you're better able to handle the ups and downs too. And it's important to trust that you can get through anything. It is possible to use your pain as a catalyst for your greatest growth. And experiencing heartache also helps you to build resilience and deeper empathy too. Tip number 5 is to ritualize your healing. I'm a huge proponent of doing rituals and having ceremonies as a way of clearing away the energetic ties and freeing ourselves from all that keeps us stuck from moving on. Every time you think about your ex, wondering what he's doing or he's not doing, worrying about him, stalking him on social media or driving by his place or whatever, your energy goes there. We subconsciously give our power away to him and give him the power to determine how we feel. And anytime we've been in a long-term relationship, though, especially an intimate one, we've developed energetic ties to the partner. We become enmeshed with one another through all the life that we've lived together, all the life we've had with that person. So letting go and moving on feels hard and sometimes impossible to do. That's why I love engaging in rituals that help us call our energy back and come back into wholeness, into our autonomy and our independence. And then one of my favorite rituals is a cord cutting ceremony. Science proves that we each have our own energetic fields. And like I mentioned a moment ago, we become corded energetically with the people that we've been in intimate relationships with. Our energy fields have been connected through all the life that we've had together. With love and connection, you can cut these cords so that you're no longer tied to your ex. And keep in mind that this may be a very emotional process depending on how attached you feel to this person in your past. So be sure to do it when you genuinely feel ready to let go, that you no longer want to keep holding on to this person, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. So when you're ready, you can start by creating a sacred space. This will be a place that's quiet, where you feel safe and comfortable. I usually like to light some sage or Palo Santo and light some candles and hold crystals. I mean, if that's your thing, of course. There are different ways to do a cord cutting ceremony. But it could be as simple as taking some deep breaths to get into a calm state. Imagine the two of you standing in front of each other, both covered in light, because again, we're dealing on an energetic basis. Then imagine that energetic tie that connects you with your ex. And this will usually be a cord that goes from our stomach or our solar plexus chakra, which is our power center. And that tie will almost be like an umbilical cord. So with that picture in mind, imagine yourself cutting that cord with a knife or a scissor or a sword or divine light, whatever works for you. You can even use your hand and just symbolically cut the cord. And once it's severed, imagine the pieces getting buried into the ground. You can even use a mantra as you're visualizing this process. I really like something along the lines of, I'm cutting these ties with you across all time, space, and dimension, and I release this attachment and this connection with love. When you're ready to close the ceremony, imagine yourself coming back into your physical body and into the present moment. The beauty of doing this cord cutting ceremony is that it severs the emotional and the energetic attachment you have with your ex. Sometimes it doesn't happen the first time, and you may have to do it over and over again a few times, and that's okay. If you enjoyed these tips and you want more guidance for moving on past a recent divorce, I go into these tips in a lot more detail in my book called Surviving the First Year After Divorce Workbook, Getting Through the Many Firsts and Setting the Foundation for Your New Life of Peace and Freedom. I offer a step-by-step blueprint for navigating the unique struggles that follow the first year after separation and divorce, with exercises, tools, checklists, and thought-provoking prompts for self-reflection and growth. The workbook is designed to gently guide you through this transition, so now you know how to work through your own inner turmoil and find relief and greater emotional freedom. If you're interested, the link to get a copy from Amazon will be in the description box below. As always, if you've gained valuable insight from this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel for more videos just like this. Thank you for watching and hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.